This might be a little long, but this is my experience. Almost a year ago, when I was 17, I was living in a trailer park, and it was a very decent trailer park, but with every trailer park comes with some crazy people. I had a neighbor across the street, a little short Mexican guy covered in tattoos, and I always saw him buying drugs. Never bothered me seeing I smoked weed all the time. One night across the street, there was at least 8 people standing outside my neighbor's trailer, and I've never seen any of these people before. It was around 11 p.m., and my mom goes to sleep. I'm going my normal, every night routine where I stay up in the living room watching TV while on my phone, and I decide to go out front and light up a blunt and smoke for a while. I noticed these 8 people talking and doing stupid stuff, acting hard, and definitely at the beginning of tweaking out. After I'm done with my blunt, I go back inside and watch some TV while playing on my phone, and it's around 12 a.m., and I hear the people across the street being loud and noisy, just causing a scene. 30 minutes later, I don't hear anything. I think they got their dope fix and passed out. 30 minutes go by. Wow, I was wrong. I hear screaming from down the street, and at first, I thought it was just some kids being stupid, until not even 5 seconds later, someone is banging on my trailer. Keep in mind my trailer is made out of metal and extends to the carport, which is enclosed and made out of wood. Someone is outside banging as hard as they can, screaming like a zombie on my trailer, from one end to the other. I immediately run down the hall into my mom's room and say, "Mom, wake up! Wake up! Someone is trying to break in! Get the taser!" We had a taser just in case anything like this happened. My mom wakes up and hears the guy banging on the trailer screaming. It sounded like something right out of a horror movie, and I'll never forget how scary this guy screaming was. Me and my mom run down the hallway right before we enter the kitchen, and on the other side of the kitchen is where the door is that leads into our trailer from the enclosed carport. I am on the phone with the police at this point. I hear glass shattering, and now the guy is in our enclosed carport area, running around on everything inside, throwing everything around. Finally, he opens up the door into the trailer, which was locked. And he had opened it with such ease like it wasn't even locked. And he yells out as he is walking up the steps, and halfway into our house, in my eyesight, my mom is standing behind me. And I yell, "Get out, I have a gun!" Which sends him flying back down the stairs, saying, "Don't shoot me." Those were the only discernible words I ever heard from him. He runs back through the carport, and we have a door in the back of the carport, which was bolt locked. He broke through it in a second and ran down the street. I look out the window to get a glimpse of him, and see he's a tall, skinny black man with dreads. About 5 minutes later, the cops showed up and started questioning us. Our window had a shattered hole in it, plus our carport was wrecked. My dog, a blue tick hound, which is a sweetheart, is also which is also scared easily, was hiding under my mom's bed the entire time. About 5 minutes after the cops started questioning us, we hear the zombie scream again. He's just casually walking down the street, screaming. I tell the cops that's him, and they go over and try to talk to him, but he's just screaming and not make any sense. So the cops get him in handcuffs. They put him in the back of a car and ask if we want to press charges. We say yes. We press charges after not only the damage he did to our house, but the trauma he put us through. The cops said he was probably on acid. We later found out, as he admitted when he sobered up, that the last remembered smoking a joint. So I'm either thinking his weed was laced or it was a joint of spice. He said he also thought he was trying to get into his girlfriend's house. We never saw him again and kept a report of him, and knew when he got out of jail and had our guard up. Needless to say, I will never forget that night. Hello Reddit, let's not meet. I've been a long time lurker. I've read or heard a lot of stories on here. I have plenty of stories over my lifetime to share. This one isn't as half as scary as many posts here, but boy, I was scared that night. The actual story happened about 2 years ago. I don't remember much of what was said exactly. I just remembered it after seeing a post on Reddit Nice Guys. Sorry for the formatting issues. I'm a mobile user. In the sophomore year of high school, I had a friend, Oni-chan. Oni-chan was a really comforting Oni-chan was a really comforting figure to my nervous wreck of a teenage brain. I called him Oni. Oni-chan was a really comforting figure to my nervous wreck of a teenage brain. I called him Oni-chan at first as a joke, mainly because we were terrible people and we were mocking the anime club. But it stuck. It means brother, I believe, and that's genuinely how I saw him. He was my close friend with whom I could talk about my home life and how much my boyfriend stressed me out, even though I really should have dumped him. He took every opportunity to tell me to dump him, and looked mildly angry when I refused, but I just chalked it up to being annoyed with my stubbornness. I was under the assumption he liked Twin, a close friend of mine. Twin and I would act and look alike, as well as wear similar fashions. It was scary how much people would confuse us, and even more scary how alike we would act. This plays a part in the story. Time passed, so when we reconnected years later, I was very ecstatic to have my old friend back. My view of him never changed, and neither did my trust in him. We made plans to go to a park, and at first, I wanted to bring my dog and drive over there, but he convinced me to leave her home and go in his car, because trust me, it's hard to find that park. We ended up walking and talking. I don't really remember what he said, but it was mainly reminiscing about the short time we had together in high school and catching up on what was going on in our lives. I was super interested in this other guy. This guy could actually take up a story of his own, but in a different subreddit. So when he started asking questions such as, "Do you think I've gotten hotter?" or "Do you feel attracted to me?" I felt a bit confused. He knew I was crushing on the other guy. Little by little, he made me more and more uncomfortable with questions that kept with me, whether it be whether it be brushing his hand against mine or full blown putting his head on my lap when I was scooting farther away from him, or as far as I could get on that little bench. I just wanted to go home, but I didn't know where I was. I even stupidly didn't want to anger my friend. I thought I needed this friend, and he had meant so much to me. I should have known better. I kept remembering the stories I heard during high school. I ignored them because he had acted completely different around me. Some of the other girls had been talking about him being a cold, pathetic, sociopathic creep, and how he tried to pressure every girl he knew into dating him, never letting up. He had always given me my space, never pressured me to do anything, so it made no sense to me. It was unfathomable then, but very concerning at the time. Eventually, got to clarify, the way we had met was through an extracurricular program at school, and the extracurricular program had these competitions held at different schools each year. This special place was actually a sort of alley between the school buildings. Everyone in the extracurricular program had entered through to the competition, all excluding me. I hadn't gone, but Twin had. Here's where the information about Twin comes in handy. Again, this was 2 years ago, and my scatterbrained self can't exactly remember the dialogue. I do apologize for this, but it went something like this. "What are we doing here? You don't remember? I was supposed to go to high school here." "No, it's where we first met and started talking." "Huh, I met you at our old high school." "Well, yeah, we had actually started talking here, and we came here for competition. Don't you remember? We were so excited." Uh, no, I don't. Are you sure it was me?" Getting frustrated, he said, "You don't remember? You don't remember us talking outside the room? You don't remember the incident? Of course, no one really liked me in this team, but you talked to me all day." Now growing more anxious, I said no. No. I wasn't here that year. I didn't come. Yes, you did. You came here and we talked for the whole. Twin came. You talked to Twin. At this point, I thought he confused me for Twin and felt a bit relieved. If I had just clarified he had the wrong gal, he'd apologize and at least take me directly home, right? Wrong. He proceeded to reveal to me that yes, he did like her for a bit, but he basically liked her because he liked me too. I had a boyfriend that I refused to leave, and Twin was a very flirty person, so he tried to get with her because she was the next best thing or something. It was honestly gross. He then chose to parade all the things he didn't like about Twin, and how she broke his heart, and how girls always ran over the nice guys like him. But I wouldn't do that to him because I'm a sweet girl and better than Twin. The more he talked, the more I tried to look for a camera to signal to help, or try to open the door. The more he talked, the more I tried to look for a camera to signal for help, or to try to open the door. I can't remember why I couldn't open the door. Either child lock was on, or the door was broken. But in it all, it was difficult for me to escape. I was sort of trapped, and with every rant about how pretty or nice I was, and how terrible she was, he got closer and closer. I kept talking about how the guy I liked was my better match, rejecting his advances with words I hope wouldn't infuriate him. He even reached over and kissed me on my cheek a few times, touching my shoulders and thighs. I just kept praying he got bored and let me go, or someone would come by. For what seemed like ages, it continued. He asked me a few times if I was uncomfortable, and not wanting to anger him more, I told him no, which is a lie. Suddenly there were flashing lights, and I never felt so relieved to see a security guard roll up behind us. He made us step outside from the car, and must have seen the horrified expression on my face, as he took me aside and asked me if I was all right. I wanted to unleash everything, but then I turned and saw Oni-chan's clenched face. He knew where I lived, and my mind raced. I wish I'd gone ahead and told him I wanted to go home, but instead fear took over and did the stupid thing. I lied and told him I was okay. He didn't seem to believe me, so he went to go get and interrogate Oni-chan, who was placed right next to me and grabbed my arm for a second. I felt a rush of intimidation wash over my body. I just played along, and long story short, he let us go, escorting us off the premises. Oni-chan was a bit razzled by this, and seemed to return to being the laid-back guy that I remembered him as, so I tried to relax for a bit, to gather my thoughts. I thought for sure he'd take me back home. We spent another while in another busier parking lot, though that was much less eventful. Just rants on how I should date him, and how the security guard obviously thought we were a couple. That meant we should be together. It, it became painfully obvious I was seconds away from crying. I blamed it on being away from my dog too long. People looking into the car with a concern at the sight of a young girl looking in some obvious distress, and no other parking lot to go without risking a possible arrest for trespassing. He finally took me home. He texted me for a bit after that. I mainly avoided him answering him. For when I did, I pretended to be cheerily uninterested in anything, or too busy. He ghosted me when I told him I was serious about asking out the other guy. It did hurt losing that friend, but I sincerely wish that afternoon and night never happened so we could continue being friends. But since it did, Oni-chan, as much as I miss your friendship, let's never meet again. Before I start, I'd like to apologize. English is not my native language. I'm Swiss. And also I'm on mobile, so sorry for any spelling mistakes, bad formatting, or grammar mistakes. I'm currently 19, and this happened in 2013 or 2014. I'm not sure anymore. I was 14 or 15 at the time. Let's start. I was on holidays with my mom, my younger brother, and my grandmother on my mother's side. We decided, since it was fall in Switzerland, to go to a warm country and chose Turkey for that. I wasn't used to the mentality of the Turkish, so I was most of the time embarrassed when they talked to me. At least as long as I was outside of the hotel resort, for example. When we were inside the resort, I never had problems. Everybody spoke English and were rather reserved as well. so more usual for me. Anyways, that was until one dinner night. Being Swiss, we decided before we went on holidays that we'll manage the tip for the staff differently, with Swiss chocolate. So this evening comes. We are getting ready to be served in the resort's restaurant by a young Turkish waiter. He was nice and always made comments to me. So my grandmother decided it would be best if I give him his tip. Not in the mood to argue with my grandmother, I did. Big mistake. He then asked for my number and promised to text me right after his shift. I politely said no since I already had a weird gut feeling about him. My grandmother gave him my number afterwards. Thanks, Grandma. So let the creepy things start. He constantly texts me, demanding to know where I am, wanting to take me out to swim at the beach or show me his apartment. At this point, it's notable that he was 19 at the time, 4 or 5 years older than me. I always said no and then decided to tell my mom about this. She just laughed it off together with my grandmother as being cute and adorable, while he was getting more and more creepy. He told me he loves me after just one day. He told me he'd move to Switzerland for me, since he had to do a workshop for being a waiter there, and stuff like that. I started to notice that when I was at the pool in the resort, he'd stare at me from time to time. He had even once run after me and tried to kiss me. I swear I thought my life was going to end when he ran towards me. As soon as we left the resort to head to the airport, I blocked him on WhatsApp. The story isn't over though. He stalked me. He found me on every social media site and texted me things from "I love you, please unblock me too. I'm gonna find you and hurt you as much as you hurt me." I just blocked him everywhere, and after a year of not hearing him, I thought I was alright. I wasn't. He somehow found my Skype, on which I neither used my real name nor my phone number, and sent me a picture of him near Zurich Lake. This is very close to where I live, stating, "Hey, baby, I love to meet up with you. I miss you." I didn't go to the city for like 3 months, so yeah. Creepy guy who's now 24 or 25-year-old. Let's not meet again.